Hey, what's up, fam? This your boy Gary B. Welcome to another episode of Mentally Financial. Hey, on this episode, it's the grand finale, y'all. This is the end of season two. We're going into season three, January 8th. So you definitely keep checking in and following me, all right? I want you to share, like, comment. Hey, we want to bring season three in with a bang, okay? What I'm saying? But anyway, I want you to sit back and listen to this episode. This is the podcast I did on my other channel, Thinking Credit, and it's going to help you with your credit card. I had a special host with me. She talked about the things you need to do when it comes to your credit card. Try to get through these holidays, okay? So, with that being said, I want you to sit back, get you something to eat, get you something to drink. It's kind of a long show because it's about almost an hour. Because we had a lot of stuff to talk about, y'all. So, please sit back and listen, okay? And hey, I'll see you in season three. This your boy Gary B. I'll holla.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Credit Fam? This your boy, Gary B. Welcome to Thinking Credit today. Today, we're going to talk about to use or not to use your credit card. So, with that being said, I got a special host for you today. We're going to talk about this credit card stuff. And you know, it's the holidays. So, since it's the holidays, she's going to give you some good information on possibly how to get, choose, and use the right credit card. All right. So, I got my girl. Ashley for Mark Life LLC.
Hi there,
Hey,
Gary. What's
hey, what's
going
up? What's up,
on?
Ashley?
Hi there. How are
How
you?
I'm good. How you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. How about
It's-
yourself?
Hey, it's good to see you.
You as
Before we get
well?
started, I do have something to say. Most of my followers know that I volunteer for the Red Cross, right? And I was in Florida for 45 days, and you didn't tell me to come through Tampa and see you.
I know, and I'm literally all over the Tampa Bay area and surrounding cities. Right now, I'm mainly in the Spring Hill area. So, listen, reach out whenever you're going to be on this side, and I'm more than happy to connect with you.
All right, that's cool. Now, like I said, I told my followers and my listeners that we're going to be talking about credit cards today. And with that being said, introduce yourself to my followers and listeners.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley with Smart Life LLC. We teach you how to pursue generational wealth, pay off debt, and really just grow in overall well being and happiness. My passion is business and personal credit. I love talking about fitness and the journey behind that, as well as the holistic healing. Now, really, truly, ask yourself how much more resistant could you become with the right tools to feel less overwhelmed and really just lighter in stress, empowered in your ability to really achieve your goals financially, physically, spiritually, and mentally. That's what my spending plan has truly allowed me to do in my life. So I want to be able to share those tools and tips with you guys so you can stop overspending, under earning, and generally self sabotaging your lifestyle and overall well being and happiness. Now, one of the things that I'm going to discuss today as well is how my physical exercise and the habits behind that has mentally supported me on my financial journey and my desire to overcome and avoid financial turmoil.
Oh, okay, okay. So,
Yes.
with all that information you just gave us, does that include just the individual or the whole person, the family, and everything?
So this financial process is really going to be determined upon the individuals, right? So if you have a family, you definitely want to be able to have those conversations with the people in your home. It's a consistent learning process. So when you think about the journey and the goals that you have set for yourself, your life and your financial future, what choices and decisions you make, are they going to impact anyone else within your home? So, yes, if you have a family, you want to have those discussions with them as well. Now, of course, if you're an individual, that's going to look a lot different than someone with a family. Myself,
Okay.
I have two boys. So, yeah, I'm going to make sure I include them in those conversations because while I have made tons of financial mistakes, I want them to be able to learn from those mistakes and use the tools for generations to come.
Dang, okay, that's good. How long would you say you've been in the industry?
Oh my goodness. So, funny story. I got into the industry 2000 and whew, it's been about 12 years. So
Wow.
2009. Yeah, 2009 I've been doing this. And honestly, my own experiences, my own convictions of the things that I have endured really led me into this. And I've been doing this for a while, and it's been one of those things where every time I've experienced a level of denials or unable to buy myself a car or even to have someone co-sign on a credit card or an apartment for me, it was always a shut door. Not because the people didn't want to do it, but a lot of times we weren't equipped with the tools to be able to do it for ourselves, let alone do it for someone else. So I've been doing this for about 12 years.
Okay.
Um, Started with myself, started teaching family, friends, coworkers, and that started to transition into me connecting with more of my community. The people who I get to visit local recreational centers or volunteer programs with Helping Hands. Mark Life LLC is truly about generational wealth and passing down the tools and resources for that overall well-being and happiness.
Okay.
And so, I can remember buying my first car or walking onto the lot thinking I was going to buy my first car because I had this credit card. It was a $300 limit. And, really, I just thought I knew, I thought I was doing the right stuff. I thought I was making the right decisions with my credit. Mind you, I was maxing that bad boy out every month. Okay. I spent every single dime of that $300
Okay.
every month, but I also paid it back every month as well. So I did that continued cycle for about 3 years. Walked onto a car lot thinking I'm ready to buy a car just for the salesman to laugh in my face and say, okay, you have this, one $300 credit limit, credit card, but you max it out each month. And I'm like, yeah, but I also pay it back each month. I paid my bills, so I should be good to go. Rude awakening. That's not the way credit worked.
Yep.
I thought that was the way credit worked, but it wasn't. What he shared with me was an educational moment. Even though I was teed off at what he was saying, he educated me to know that, yeah, while you're paying this bill in full every month, you're maxing it out every month as well, which makes you look like a risky borrower.
Yeah. And I'm so sick and tired of seeing that on social media with all of these financial people saying that to hurry up and build your credit. You need to do this and do that. That was stupid. I didn't like that information either, because the problem with it is you already have people who don't know how to handle the money they got now, much
Yeah.
less to tell them to max something out and hope they can pay it before a due date. And then they get so far behind and they start paying interest. Um, like I tell my followers and listeners, credit card companies don't like me because I don't pay interest. I have never paid interest on a credit card. Um, and it was like, well, why you don't pay interest on a credit card? Because I pay it in full. But the way I pay my bills, it doesn't look like I'm a risky borrower. First of all, I keep mine below 30% credit card utilization. I don't even like the number 30. Mine is 1 to 6%, you know what I'm saying, of credit card usage. So
Yes.
so I pay that twice a month. I do it by the statement date, and then I pay pay it off on the due date. So it looks like, oh, he only owes this amount of money. I could max it out. But if I pay it by the statement date, it's under that usually, under that utilization number. So it never looks like I maxed it out.
Right.
So I never become a risk. Um, right now, I have 13 credit cards, and I put each one of my credit cards on a bill. Because people say, well, how do you remember to use them all? I put them on a bill. I put each one on a bill. So I know I got to pay the bill. So automation is my best friend. I know the money's going to the bank. I use the credit card, and I know on whatever due date, the bank is going to pay it. So we're going to talk about things like that. And I'm glad you told them a little bit about yourself, how real you are, how down to earth. So let's let's not do an interview. Let's just chop it up and talk to these people real. It's the holidays, so you know they're about to start using their credit cards.
Yes.
And I got a lot of people who never heard me talk about credit cards. So I want you to segue me into talking to them about credit cards. But I like to do that more one-on-one. I don't like to put it in any of my programs. That's something I like to do one-on-one with somebody because like I know, if you tell somebody something and everybody listening, they're gonna think it worked for them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
information don't always work for everybody.
And I think that part is really important, right? You have to keep in mind that everybody's picture is not the same, and you will definitely hit numerous speed bumps along your specific journey and setbacks along the way, but everybody will have something different that they're doing or some variable that makes their financial picture look different than yours. And so we're definitely going to have more granular conversations around, how do we identify, utilizing credit cards, good choices versus the choices that don't really serve us in no way, and how do you think through the emotional aspects that leads you to the behaviors that you ultimately don't even want.
Okay, I like that. Now, the first thing I want to talk about before you get into, I want to read something. I got my notes up here.
Okay.
Um, I want to talk about three things on how to choose a credit card. So keep
Okay.
that in the back of your mind. That's what we want to start with. Now, me personally, I think there's three things you need to consider when looking for a new credit card. One is how is your credit? First of all, we want to know, make sure you can get a good credit interest rate. Second, how are you going to use this card? Okay. And then third, how do you plan on paying it back? So, what are your thoughts on those three things? And tell us what you can tell somebody on how to choosing a new card.
Absolutely. And those are actually great choices. Those are actually the top three for me. So, number one, how and when do you take a break to identify your income versus expenses? Because the reality is, when you get a credit card, the application is asking you, how are you going to pay us back for said line of credit? If you're spending $200 on an unsecured line of credit, what resources do you have available to you currently that will identify you have something reliable and substantial to pay these funds back? Are you a risk? Are you borrowing with no intent to pay back? So that's number one. Definitely look at how do you plan to manage your finances.
Okay.
Number two, the annual percentage rate for me is huge because that is the determining factor between how much extra you need to pay back if you're not paying this borrowed money back in full. And I don't know about y'all, I don't like to give away free money. When you're
Thank you.
paying interest, you're giving away free money. When you're getting refunds back at the end of the year from taxes, you're giving away money. We're not going to talk about taxes. That's another conversation. But when it comes to your credit, and your percentage rate is very, very important to me. And third, what other, and I heard your choices, but my third choice is, what other financial benefits comes with this credit card? Are there other products or services available to me within the same company that I can readily access, i.e., I heard you say you have 13 credit cards. I also have 13 credit cards. Most of the credit cards I also have separate bank accounts, checking, savings, CDs, IRAs, whatever have you, based on
Yeah.
my picture. Now, the reason why that's important to me is because as you start to grow and your life circumstances and your life cycle changes, I have children. Things change for me on a regular basis. I need to have separate accounts for the sources of income that I have coming in. That way, I'm not mixing my personal expenses with my business expenses. I'm able to separate. I heard you share about auto pay. Auto pay is my biggest friend simply because I'm an overspender. You have to be able to mentally acknowledge these things. So when it comes to the three things that you look for when choosing an appropriate credit card for you, those are the things that I look for.
Wow, I'm glad you said that because even though I said three, yeah, you got to throw those extras in there that you talked about.
Yes.
And like I tell people, I will probably never get a credit card that has a high interest rate on it. But even if I did, once again, I pay it off before I got to pay the interest. So I don't like to, I don't let the interest rate scare me. But as long as I keep my credit profile straight, I will never have a high interest credit card anyway. You know. Now let me say this. A lot of people say, well, you never pay interest. What about your house? What about the car note? Yes, those are different type of interest. I ain't talking about it. I'm talking about that credit card interest
Oh, we
because
could talk. We could talk about mortgage interest too, if you like, because there's definitely a way.
I know. And see, my god brother hit me up and said, "See, you lying. You have paid interest rate." That's when he brought up the mortgage and he brought up. I'm like, come on, bro. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about credit cards. But anyway, so yes, everybody, I do pay interest on my mortgage for my house, but my cars are paid off. But credit cards, I don't pay. And loans, I don't pay interest on. But anyway, so those three things
and
are cool. Now,
when
can you
you
go ahead?
say credit cards, you don't pay the interest on it. I think it's important to also peel back the layers on what that actually looks like, right? So, keeping in mind that not paying interest on credit cards looks like paying more than the minimum on your
Yeah,
credit card balances. That looks like asking for an increase so your debt to income ratio offsets what your credit profile looks like,
yep,
giving you a more positive opportunity for a higher credit score, right?
exactly. Yeah.
And so that's where he says, I don't pay interest because he's not allowing anyone to take away his power to keep money in his pocket. Okay.
And that's so true because, like I said, people have to understand what we say when it comes to finance because it's a lot. It's a lot that can be said, and like I said, and it doesn't fit everybody. But tell me, um, when you're looking at getting a credit card, do you look for the zero introductory balances first, or what do you look at? Are you looking at the points, or looking at the cash back and things like that? What do you look for?
Absolutely. So I'm looking at all of it. And when you initially start out on your credit journey, what you're looking for, your wants and needs, is going to vary depending on your financial picture. Right now I'm at a 12, 13, 14, 15-year journey into building my credit profile to be what I think is ideal for me. And so I start off by doing tons of research. What's important to me right now? What goals do I have right now? Where do I want to be in the next 3 to 5 years? Those short term and long term goals. And so I go out there to things like Nerd Wallet and look at some of the reviews, some of the
Yes.
articles out there about the annual percentage rates. I compare credit cards, percentage rates and introductory rates. I already have credit cards. So if there's an opportunity for me to get a 0% APR for 24 months, 36 months, that's actually, pretty impressive for me. So yeah, I want to see what that looks like. Also considering if I open up a new line of credit, that now takes down the longevity of how long I've had credit overall,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that you want to consider. I also view bank rate or similar sites because you also get a good picture of the financial institutions that you're currently doing business with or currently have products and services with. So I mentioned earlier, when I look at the ideal credit cards for me and my lifestyle, what other products and services are available to me? Bank accounts, IRAs, opportunities for stocks, bonds, whatever the case may be. I want to know these things because 9 times out of 10, let's say, for example, I have an American Express. I just got two additional products under American Express with no hard hit to my credit profile because I already have a product and service with them. To me, that's beneficial because it allows me to keep my credit score increasing versus taking a decrease from opening a new line of credit.
Right, right.
Some
I'm
institutions also allow your longevity to report under the initial product or service.
look at you, look at you. You think you know a little something.
Those are the benefits that I look for because I like to travel. For me, wealth isn't necessarily about the money, but what the money affords me to do with my time freedom. The time freedom is what's wealth for me. Do I get to spend enough time with my children? Do I get to travel? Do I get to spend time on my personal and self care? So, understanding what credit is going to do and how it's going to benefit my life is important. Learning from the mistakes and showing and allowing my children to be a part of these processes are important. My children are very well versed in what their risk level looks like on a credit card versus a debit card versus, doing a budget, right? So our
Yeah,
spending plan, 50-30-20 rule, because if you're going to utilize your credit card, and yes, there are credit cards available for children, educate yourselves at
yeah.
marklifellc.com. And if you're going to have responsibility and want to utilize these things, it's important to understand what your risk level is. It's important to understand what income you have coming in. My son gets a $5 a week allowance.
What's up, everybody? This your boy Gary B. Come check me out on Mentally Financial at 12 o'clock every Sunday on your favorite podcast network. Yeah, so my children have a weekly allowance of $5. Now, of course, there's only so much you can do with the $5, but incorporating the habits to develop positive financial outcomes is something that I learned in my late 20s, early 30s. And one of the, mistakes that I made that I feel like it's important to teach my children, how to manage small amounts. And as it increase, you become better and better at managing, investing, and really and truly understanding your risk level. And so what that looks like is him breaking down that $5 each week, right? You want to
Hmm.
do activities, you want to hang out, you like shoes, you like all of the things, but you can only do so much with the income available to you, right? With the resources that you have. And so he uses his 50-30-20 budget rule, and he breaks that out each month, $5 a week, $20 a month, and so on and so forth. So now he's gotten to the point where he saves his $5 up each week until he gets to the end of the month. And he's done that for the last 6 months and has bought his own PS5 accessories and headphones. And
Wow.
because he's now developed the tools and habits to understand, okay, I might not be able to do it right this moment, but if I save here and invest there, now I'm investing in my future, not just for sports or candy, but for the other things that I like to do in my life. And that part is important. That's how you develop positive habits towards your spending plan, thus getting positive outcomes in your credit profiles, low APRs when you're filling out those applications, and better financial outcomes in your future.
Oh, okay. So that's cool. So tell me, I think you said your kids' ages. Well, what are their ages?
Yes, I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old.
And you starting them that young, huh?
Absolutely. So we started our financial journey, when you have children, it your first child go through a lot of things with you. And so when I initially had my first son, I experienced a lot of different financial trauma in different forms. And so utilizing things like the envelope method, if some of you, aren't aware
Yeah.
of what that is, basically the envelope method allows you to use cash and split your cash up into the different categories, or the different, for me, it's different bank accounts. But for my son, he has his envelopes that he utilizes for his allowance each week.
Mm.
So utilizing those things at an early age has shown and proven to me that encouraging these positive changes and incorporating habits and being able to habits that the ones that truly give you what you truly desire leads to more positive outcomes. My son, his confidence is through the roof.
Okay.
He goes into a store and spend, and the people, the cashiers look at him like, where's your parent? but he's so fluid in being able to go in the store and identify what his budget is prior so that he doesn't overspend because he understands if you overspend, mommy will not be there to bail you out. And I think that part is important too, because that was a lesson I learned, as a young adult. Doing
Okay.
things on the account of other people sometimes can lead you in bad credit profiles.
And I know this because I try to explain to people that I'm very transparent about my finances. Um, I was so ignorant at 18. Not saying that my parents didn't teach me anything, because they did. But when you're young and you're dumb, you don't
Yes.
listen. Um, I was so ignorant to finance when I first came into the military, or went into the military. Excuse me. I'm not in anymore. I'm retired. When I first went into the military, I actually, hear me, I actually thought by giving me a checkbook, it meant I had all the money in the world. I honestly did not know that the money in the bank had to match all them checks that you gave me. so so yes, my first duty station was in New Orleans. I was 19 years old, 18 or 19 years old. New Orleans, a party city. I got a checkbook. I had checks all over the city. And then the banks were starting to come back at me and say, "Hey, where the money?" I said,
Where,
"You
where
got the
our
money.
money at?
Yeah, you got the money. I gave you the check." And then I had to learn that that don't work that way. But okay, I'm glad you say that now.
I
So,
experienced
how
that too.
old or what age should kids start getting into the financial situation of the family?
I think as soon as possible, right? So I vividly remember my first experience with money. My dad and uncles and aunts used to come over and visit us. Here, get a quarter. You were so good in school. Here, do that dance I like, and I give you $10. Those were my first experiences with money. And that's where I learned at a young age that as long as I have some money, I can make the purchase of what I want, i.e., candies, drinks, sodas, at that age. And so, if you're anything like me, you grew up understanding that, you got to work hard, get out there and hustle and make your own money, but not necessarily learning the tools and the habits and the resources to manage the money, right? Or to earn the money. Um, and so I think the earlier, the better. My
Okay.
oldest started at 4, and that transpired into his bank account, which credit unions are amazing. But that transpired into Suncoast Credit Union in Florida, visiting his school every single week, allowing students to open up bank accounts and deposit money. And every time they deposit money, the bank will match what they were putting in.
Wow.
And so my son started that at 4 at the school he was at that time. My baby then came along. He's 9. And we started him at 2 when he started learning his one, two, threes and ABCs. We taught him sign language and we taught them money.
So, at an age like that, what do you show them? Because I've always told my families that I work with that I'm not telling you to show them the negative aspects of finance, because you don't want them to see or get traumatized from the mistakes you made.
Yeah.
Show them this and that. What, outside of them opening a bank account, what else financially did you show them? Did you show them, hey, when we go groceries, this is our grocery budget. This is how I pay the bills. This is the light bill. This is how did you do it with your boys?
So, keyword right there, I did it with them. I didn't just show them or tell them or talk at them. So whenever grocery week is due, or we're paying bills, or I'm online doing anything financially related, that's a conversation that we're having together. If we are, for example, you said the grocery list. One of the things that my boys are, we're very involved. We cook together, we laugh together, we do a lot of the things together. So it's important to understand too that what that looks like to have these things, to bring the groceries home, to put the beds in the house, and etc. So that looks like breaking down. First of all, what are these coins, right? What are these coins? How are we going to pay for the groceries? And that even went as far back as my oldest son knowing what the WIC card looks like, what a food stamp card looked like, because I wanted to be transparent with him that while yes, we're getting groceries, it's not always coming directly from my pockets. And now
Wow.
that I'm no longer having access to those resources that are government funded, now it's coming from my pockets. But where? Right?
Okay.
And my children are gifted. So those kind of questions often came up. Well, mom, you said that it comes from your pockets, but where? Because when I looked in your pockets, when I took the laundry out, I didn't see any money. And so that's how you start those conversations. What it instills as well is the ability to be okay with mistakes. I don't know about you guys, but I learned that you don't discuss money in the house. You don't
Yep.
ask nobody any questions.
Yep.
Right, Gary?
Exactly.
Have you
Yep.
right?
That's what it
So
was.
that's what it is. So raising children has really truly taught me I don't know what I don't know. The things that I thought I knew does not work for me or my household. And it's important to teach my children what's gonna best work for them by educating them. Get an understanding. What is a quarter? How much does it cost me to buy a bag of groceries? What does it look like for me to get a piece of candy? Right. So giving them a quarter for picking up their toys equated to when we go to the store, you can put your quarter in that little gumball machine because you earned it and now you have the money to do so.
All right. Now, by you saying that, let me throw this question at you.
Okay.
And everybody, I know we're talking about credit, but you got to understand finance to get to the credit cards. Okay.
Yep.
So that's why it
That's the
might
root.
sound like we're talking off subject, but we're really not. We're talking about finance to get to the proper credit card. Um, you brought up the fact that you educated your kids. I know I asked you how old do you feel we should start. The next question is, which I got to give Florida credit for this, which I y'all governor crazy down there, but I ain't gonna say nothing about him. Um, but
Yes.
I will say this: he did make y'all the first state to make it where they have to take financial literacy to graduate from school now. Georgia has taken suit, and I'm glad our governor and state body has did that too. My question is, when we were in school, I know I'm a little old. I'm a lot older than you, but we ain't gonna tell nobody her age. But I'm a
We're
lot
not
older
gonna
than
tell
her.
our ages.
Yes, exactly. But I know I was not taught finance. I was taught how to do taxes. I was taught how to do, adding and subtracting and things of that nature. But do you think, before they started this new financial literacy program, do you think school taught us anything about finance for real?
No. Um, I wasn't exposed to a lot of the things that I was exposed to until I became of age myself and started trying to make these financial decisions myself. Um, and I do truly believe as well that education starts at home.
Thank you.
It starts at home. It doesn't matter what you can get from the other resources. It starts at home. If there's something you don't know, it starts with you taking an active approach to go and figure that out. Learn that. Who do you need to talk to? What resources available to you so that you can understand better how to make a conscious decision for yourself. Not just because it's what looked good online or everybody on social media saying this is the newest thing. You have to have a real clear understanding of if you go and apply for a credit card today, knowing that you have three collections reporting currently and your score is maybe between 600 and 700, do you really think that applying for that in this very moment is going to give you the best rate option? That you're going to save the most money and gain the most benefits? When you're making these decisions, one of the things that I make sure I instill in my boys and I kind of just drill it in them, you must always be the beneficiary on both sides of the stick. Learn when to shape shift.
Mm, okay, okay. Wow. It sounds like you are definitely doing a lot for your boys and yourself. That is really good. Your clients that you speak with, your families that you talk to, the organizations that you visit and give them this education, what is one of the most important things you say to them when it comes to their finance?
One of the most important things that I say to anyone that I'm doing business with, whether it's on a volunteer basis, whether I'm out doing speaking engagements, whether it's just a workshop, or me just even being in the community with young girls and boys in foster care, it is imperative that we understand thyself. What that looks like is your money mindset, your mental mindset, because how it plays into your emotions, you don't realize until way later. Right. And so Grabbing hold of your thought process will also look like you understanding your emotions, because I'm not ashamed to say I am an emotional spender. Piss me off and watch me get a tub of Edie's slow churned butter pecan ice cream and damage it. Okay. And that same jar of ice cream cost me $15 every single time. So,
Wow.
no, I cannot allow my emotions to take me into overspending and really drowning myself in more financial burden, because that's why I'm stressed out in the first place. So if I'm mentally stressed out and I'm not thinking clearly, that's going to be my first thing. Let me go swipe my card and become swipe and bandit, because that's what makes me feel good in the moment.
Wow. See, hey, it's funny, listeners, and those of you know who about my show, Mentally Financial, that drops every Sunday at 12 o'clock. She just segued into it, and I didn't have to pay her to do that. Hey, that's why you need to come and listen to my show, Mentally Financial, every Sunday, because I drop some new nuggets on how to deal with financial stress. That's what that show is all about. I know this is Thinking Credit. Like I said, hey, Mentally Financial is my other show. And I just want y'all to listen. And that's what she's saying. You have to be mentally healthy, y'all, to deal with this thing. Now,
Yeah.
with that being said, Ashley, this is a tough one. This
Okay.
is the Christmas holiday, and I know this credit cards burning people's pockets right now.
Ooh.
What should these people start doing right now? Because I know the credit cards are burning their pockets.
Yes, 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 you guys. I know the weather outside is frightful and you want to feel delightful. Okay. Do not allow yourself to go into anybody's store without your spending plan. Also, make up in your mind and acknowledge your feelings around your spending. If you know that this year is not the year for you to go all out for little Tommy and Jerry and Kiki and them, be honest with yourself and acknowledge that. Get creative with the holidays. Our spending just for an in the moment experience does not have to look like us going into financial turmoil, going into debt at the new year, right? It doesn't have to look like that. Here's a few things that you can actually do. Number one, if a spending plan, i.e., a budget, sounds too restrictive for you, find a way to make it a game. Find a way to make it fun. What exactly do you need? What exactly do you want? And what is discretionary? Three categories. Look at the list, look at your spending plan, which is your income versus expenses. Give yourself an allotted period box or whatever that looks like for you, and stick to the plan. Second, make sure you're looking out for yourself. Self care and self love, unattended to, looks like creating more financial trauma, regardless of your spending habits.
Mm, okay. Okay. So you would say right now, those two, how should I say, directions would be perfect for this time of the year.
It's perfect for this time of the year, because what happens on the holidays, around the holidays? Increased stress,
Yes.
increased debt. We
Yes.
are already in some inflationary periods. What does that really and truly look like? And if you're anything like Gary shared here, he sets up the auto pays and things for his reason. I set up the auto pays and things because it helps keep me from overspending. Two
Okay.
different reasons,
Okay.
same outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so since we chopping it up like this, and we brought up the credit cards, because that's what we're talking about today,
Yes,
and we brought up,
APR, spending.
yes, we talked about education, we talked about spending. Now, tell me your opinion and your feelings on. Oh, I'm gonna wait until my income tax check comes.
Let me tell you guys something. I was the girl that would, I don't know if PayPal still has this feature where it's a line of credit, but you can only shop online with this line of credit,
I
or
think so.
if
I
you're
think
at
so.
some of the stores, you can actually log into your PayPal on their kiosk and spend the line of credit. Okay. I was the girl that would rack up all of the debt I would tell all of my nieces, nephews, children, send me your list, TT babies. I got it. I would rack the debt up, literally thousands of dollars, because my income tax check was coming.
Ooh.
That was my thought process. And let me tell you, boy, was I wrong. Sometimes that income check came and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Exactly.
And baby, did that lead me to one thing after the next, and ultimately led me in such a financial turmoil that I was living not paycheck to Monday, but payday loan to payday loan. So I overused my credit, which led me to living payday loan to payday loan for a moment of satisfaction to give my children and my nieces and nephews.
Ooh. See, she did it again, y'all. If you listened to my show last week, 15 ways to being mentally stronger. And one of those ways was please learn to say no. It does not hurt to say no. It's your money. We know you love your nephews and nieces and mamas and daddies and friends, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. If they want to borrow and you can't give it, you can't give it.
More importantly, give yourself the grace to set healthier boundaries.
Yes.
You may have been taught to take care of the family and each one teach one. Reach back when you got it. Make sure there's a house for the family in case somebody don't have a place to stay. Baby, listen, what works for you? You got to sit down and understand what works for you right now. Because
Thank
if you
you.
can't help yourself keep afloat for at least 3 to 5 years, if you can't help yourself provide financial stability through emergency funds, asset protection, managing credit cards appropriately, how can you support somebody else? For me, what that looks like is when I was 18, 19, and in my 20s, young and dumb, I was making young and dumb decisions and then was asking people to co-sign for me for cars, apartments, and credit cards. And they all told me no.
Yes.
Now that looks like when my children turn 18, 19, and 20, they could come to their mama because there's a place to stay. They can get their education and they already have stocks, bonds, and things building their financial future and learning the habits to help them sustain generational wealth.
Thank you.
Two different thought processes, different paths. We have to really truly sit down and get our mindset together. What works for you? Are you looking and thinking and feeling through the lenses of what you were taught from the prior generations? Because remember, our parents and grandparents and great grandparents lived in a different time than we're living in 2022 today.
Yep. Exactly.
What they had to do for survival is not what you currently have to do. I still sometimes find myself thinking and operating under a survival mindset, and I truly have to take a step back, breathe, meditate, journal, play some music, and dance my heart away to get my mindset back in order. Honey, you're not surviving. You own a house. You have Airbnb. Your children are out there partying and living their best life on vacation as international travelers, all of which was not afforded to you as a child. Not that they couldn't do it, they just lacked the tools, resources, and education to do it for themselves better. Do I blame my parents? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
they lived in
I
a
don't
different
either.
era.
Yeah,
They lived in a different era.
I'm glad you said it that way to the parents that are listening and the followers that get babies on the way and the ones thinking about building families. I'm glad you said it that way. Now, like I said, not to make them think we offer the credit card thing. Right now, I would like to tell these people. Now, how would you tell them to take that credit card? You already brought up the spending list. How do
Yes.
you create that spending list to match the balance that they have on their credit card?
Yes, yes. So the first thing I would say is if you already have a credit card, take a look at what benefits are offered to you. 9 times out of 10, there's so many benefits afforded to you through the perks of your credit card that you might not even have to swipe your card to spend money for. Take advantage of that first. That looks like any type of reward points that you may can turn into now buying gifts, gift cards, etc. Next, look at what opportunities are available, such as Discover Card has this benefit each month where you can activate extra reward points or travel points or gift options if you are shopping at store specifics, right? And so if you are able to take advantage of that. So if you're spending $200 on a laptop for your kid, but spending it on your credit cards using the reward point system is going to afford you another 20,000 points. Now you've built yourself a free vacation.
See, y'all need to listen. She's throwing you some diamonds and some gems, all right?
That's how
So
I travel
you
for
need to do
free.
that.
That's how I shop. I decide what stores I'm going to. I decide what stores I'm going to do online versus going in the store. Because another thing I figured out on this journey is online prices on the over the holidays are a lot more inflated than going in the store.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up that way too, because yeah, a lot of people. I I am so sick and tired of the borrowing money mentality, and then saying, "Hey, I'm gonna just go get a credit card and pay this and pay that with the credit card, and then catch it in the end." When you're really not catching it in the end, it is
Yeah,
totally gonna put you deeper, deeper in debt. So I'm kind of glad you said it to them that way, so they can have a better idea of what they really need to think about with that credit card in their
yeah.
pocket, because that credit card can do a lot for you if you understand it.
If you
And
understand it.
we know reading for people of color could be kryptonite. So you need
And
to
let me
read.
tell you,
You need to
I
read.
am an avid reader, and everything that I have learned about managing my finances, credit, debt, my business now, everything that I have learned have truly been from a book.
And see, and I like that. See, I'm trying to tell people, yes, finance can be boring. Finance can be boring to listen to and to watch all day. But I'm telling you, when you broke, it's even worse. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? When you in
Yes.
debt, it's even worse. So I would
Yes.
rather take that boring time and learn about my finances, so then I won't have to be bored and broke and distressed and all of that, you know? So
Absolutely.
please
Absolutely.
start reading, start talking to people about your finance, and take it serious, y'all. I'm telling you, take it serious. Um, Before we get out of here, Ashley, I do have a question I normally ask my people, but before I ask you that question, please tell my followers and my listeners more about where they can find you, what you definitely can offer them starting the new year. I know, and I hate to say starting the new year, because what we got about still 2 weeks left in this year.
Yes.
Maybe there's something you can do for them right now in these last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, to get them into the new year just right. Tell my peoples
Absolutely.
what can possibly be done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Gary. Yes, right now, I am offering a way for you to really get started and really find out and identify how you can get fit, have faith, and really get good with your finances in the new coming year. My ebook is truly going to help you unpack and unlearn things that are keeping you mentally bonded to the financial turmoil that you might be experiencing. Whether you are a mom working 9 to 5, starting a business, or really just want to get your money together, join me at marklifellc.com and click the link in my bio on all social media platforms to get yours today. Now, I also have a free webinar coming out. And if that's something that's of interest to you, go ahead and subscribe on my website at marklifellc.com so that you can be in the know. I offer a variety of things, you guys. Listen, I know you hear it right here, raw, raunchy, unfiltered, uncut, on All Things Credit with Gary's podcast. However, this is an opportunity available to you. Gary is bringing people like myself and others in our community, for people who look like us, to help you really understand how our life choices, decisions, and emotions can really impact our financial future. I offer mentoring and coaching services from a week to week basis or a monthly basis, depending on what works for you. We can jump on a consultation call, deep dive into what you want for your future, and really help you get towards living in overall well being and happiness. I know you've heard a little bit about me, but wouldn't you like to feel a better sense of stability, passing down the tools of generational wealth to your lineage? How much different would your life be if you really didn't choose to listen to the opinions of those around you?
Mm,
Come
mm,
join us
mm.
today at marklifellc.com.
Mm.
She just knocked it out the box with that, y'all. And I hope y'all listening. I know I heard you say that they can do a consultation with you. Is that over Zoom? Is it over the phone, or
That
what
is
is it?
over Zoom, yes.
Okay,
And I
okay,
have the links in my bio on all
okay.
social media at Mark Life LLC, Facebook, Instagram. I also have educational tips and tools on my TikTok to help you better understand what this journey can really help you overcome and walk into your true desires and purpose for life.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, I'm glad y'all hung around, and we're gonna give you a little snippet bonus for all of you that hung out with us this long. I'm going to ask her the question I ask a lot of my listeners and a lot of my followers and other people that come on and talk with me, and then we're gonna close the show out with that. Now, basically, Ashley, I want you
Mhm.
to tell me and my followers and listeners what is financial freedom to you.
Woo! Financial freedom looks like having 100% time freedom control to take care of myself mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually so that I can truly live in overall well being and happiness with the conviction of being true to myself.
Hmm, 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 hmm. Did y'all hear that? That girl said what she said. Hey, Ashley, I want to thank you for taking the
Thank you,
time out
Gary.
of your day, because I know what you were doing for your boys today. We're not gonna tell everybody what you were doing for them, but she's doing her motherly duties, y'all, and she took the time to talk to us. So I hope y'all listen. So it shows you can be a mother and still be financially responsible and have time to talk to
Absolutely.
people. So, all right,
Absolutely.
Ashley, thank you for that.
Thank you,
Um,
Gary. And thank you all so much for taking the time to join us on this podcast. I truly love listening to Gary and identifying all the tips and tools that still can apply to my life today. Never stop being a learner. The things that Gary is bringing to y'all, make sure y'all go out there and really, truly learn what you
yeah,
need and how you can truly apply this. Hey,
right. I
it's
like
good
that. I
talking to
like that.
you.
Hey, and Ashley, like I said, I want to say thank you for coming through again.
Of
Everybody,
course.
give her a round of applause, and we want to say, hey, she did a good job over here. Hey, it was good talking to you. When I come through the famous state of what y'all oranges down there, or what are y'all down there in Florida?
What you not gonna do is act like you don't know them Florida oranges now.
Hey, we're in Georgia, we peaches, so it's all
I know
good.
y'all the peaches. I know y'all the peaches.
So, all right,
No, let me
everybody.
know, my brother. I have to get with you. I definitely want my community to meet you. I mean, we're doing so much out here. Once you follow my social media platforms, definitely just browse in there. Let me know any tips, tools, or suggestions that you want to see more of because I would love and I would be honored to come back and join you on your podcast.
All right, everybody. My name is Gary B, and this is Thinking Credit with Gary B. And I will holler at you in the next episode. Like I always say, I do the research. You just gotta follow. I love you. Peace.
Hey, what's up, fam? Make sure that you follow me on all of your podcast networks: Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all your favorite podcast networks. But catch me in season 3. I'll be looking for you.